Hey, Nick here. Today I'm going to show you how to build an end-to-end Instagram Parasite scraper in N8N that subscribes to channels that you're interested in, watches them for new reels, takes those reels and downloads them, exports the transcript, takes that information, pumps it into ChatGPT and Perplexity to tell you new angles and twists you can make on that content, before finally rewriting a script that you can use to record your own videos in a tenth of the time. I just used this exact approach to scale my Instagram channel from 0 to 10,000 followers in 15 days. And I just wanted to give you guys the sauce, show you the behind the scenes, and let you build it for yourself. So if that sounds like something you're interested in, stay tuned. Let's get into the video. So just before I get into the video, I want to be clear, I haven't actually built the system yet. It is a system I was planning on building, and I figured I'd just record a video while I did it and narrate my thoughts out loud. But because I haven't built it yet, I'm going to keep in the circuitous sort of detours that I take while doing the building. I'm going to leave in any dead ends that I come across. Because to me, it's very important for people that watch videos like this to see the live build process, not just some glamorized, super pristine, sexy version of it, but like how somebody that works in N8N actually goes through step-by-step debugging problems and that sort of stuff. Because otherwise it's like if I were to give you a picture of, I don't know, the Burj Khalifa or something and say, hey, pretty building, right? Okay, great. Now you go and build it. It's like, a picture only tells you so much, right? Looking at things from the outside in only gives you so much of the whole story. So anyway, let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about context, and then I'm actually going to go through the building because, I know you guys just want to see that beautiful N8N canvas. But essentially, I have an Instagram channel called Nick_Soraya. Launched it about a week and a half ago. No, 2 weeks ago, maybe, something like that, maybe a little bit longer. And essentially, we just do AI news. So we're subscribed to tons of AI newsletters, AI research papers, AI research labs. And the second that this new accessible technology comes out, I record a video using a little teleprompter that I just set up, actually, which is very handy. Although, given how much I yap, I'm definitely not going to be using it for these sorts of videos. And then, I take these scripts, I record them, and then voila, we're basically one of the first people on the scene with this. And people love it, right? Like, check out some of the reels. They've, this one just got 43,000 today. This is 160K, right? This one's almost 400K. So this is obviously like a very profitable area for me to be in. And, the bottleneck for me is like producing this content, getting access to this news. So one thing that me and the team were thinking about is, okay, well, if we're subscribed to all these newsletters, why don't we go one step further? And why don't we get other creators in our niche, maybe smaller, maybe bigger, that are talking about related topics? They might not necessarily be me, an AI channel, but it might be like an art and design channel talking about new art and design things, for instance, or I don't know, some programming channel talking about programming things. And essentially, why don't we watch those channels, see the new outputs that come, like track their reels, scrape them on a daily basis. And then if these things have new technologies that are related to artificial intelligence, well, great, we're going to take them, we're going to add them to a database. Then we're actually going to use AI to rewrite the AI portion of the script of their reels. And then we're going to add a couple of additional layers to it so that it gets even better and, more geared towards an AI audience. This is what I'd call like quality content repurposing, quality, I don't know if you want to call it Parasite or whatever. There's probably a ton of different terms for it. But essentially, this just solves a big bottleneck in my business. So that's the idea behind this, okay? We're going to be taking like other people's Instagram posts, basically. So scrape Instagram posts. And I'm just going to get a giant list of like the best people in their respective fields. Maybe they'll be like art, I don't know, design. I'll do like programming. I'll probably do like business. As we know, these purpose-built AI models for all of these niches, like these niche specific ones are coming out every day. I mean, it's so hard to keep track of them. So I'm gonna like get people that are number one in all of these fields, and then I'm gonna scrape their IG reels. And I might do YouTube and newsletters and stuff like that as well. And then once I've scraped these IG reels, I'm just going to check if it exists in a database. This is what I'm thinking anyway. Now, when I say database, don't get freaked out. A database is just a Google Sheet. It's a Google Sheet. It's an Excel file, right? There's nothing fancy about a database. Database is just the way that programmers try and make themselves feel good, but it's just like a table, okay? With some sort of heading and then some sort of value, and then usually some sort of like index or something, right? So we're all used to this. We've all been using this. We've grown up using this sort of stuff. So basically, I'm just going to check to see, hey, does this reel already exist in my database? If so, I don't need to do anything. And then we kind of have like two options, right? The first option is yes, it exists. So if it does exist, we do nothing. Why? Because there's just no use running all this infrastructure like twice. But if it doesn't exist, if it's new, basically, then we go through the next step. And I don't really know what the next step's going to be yet, but it's probably going to be like transcribing the reel, realistically. I don't know how we're going to do it. There are a bunch of tools that like enable us to grab files and then do transcriptions and stuff, but I'm going to play around with it live and show you guys what the build process looks like when you don't know what tool you're going to use. And then once I've transcribed the reel, I'm going to, probably use AI to do some filtering, just make sure like it's something that I'm actually interested in, right? I'm probably going to be doing some top level stuff like determine if it has the term AI in the transcript or little stuff like that before I do this. And then finally, I'm going to run through ChatGPT basically. That's not how you spell ChatGPT, GAT-GPT. Run through ChatGPT, and we're going to identify angles or, I don't know, added value. Let's just leave it at that. Added value. Ways to make the content better. And, like I have a feeling that my content is going to be better anyway, simply inherently due to like the quality of the presentation and probably the editing, because, I just started working with a really good editor and all that stuff. So I have a feeling that literally if I weren't to do anything, my content would still be better. This might just be me slapping my dick on the table being like, I'm awesome. And hopefully it doesn't come across that way. But I don't just want to do that. I actually want it to be even higher quality. I want it to be like, I want to do some research with Perplexity or something before this step. And then once I'm done that, I'm going to rewrite as a new script. And then I can just like upload it to a teleprompter or something, whatever. I mean, that's just me and my flow. So this is what the flow is going to look like logically. Let's actually go and turn it into an N8N thing. So how the hell are we going to scrape Instagram Reels first and foremost? Now, if you've never done any sort of Instagram scraping before, the number one tool that people use for this purpose is called Appify. If you're new to my channel, might be the first time you've heard it. If you're not, you're probably sick, bored to death of it by now. I unfortunately can no longer say that I'm not affiliated with Appify because I've talked about how great their service is so much that they've just given me and all of my audience members a 30% discount for 3 months. So if you guys want to sign up to Appify, feel free. But anyway, basically what it is it's like a marketplace where you can get any scraper that you want for basically any service. So, you can scrape websites, Instagram, Google Maps, contact details, TikTok, Facebook, Cheerio, Web Scraper, Puppeteer, Apollo, LinkedIn, right? We obviously want Instagram. But to make a long story short, I don't just want Instagram, I want Instagram Reels. So I'm going to go Instagram Reels over here, okay? Now, we got a ton of different options. We could download them using this service. We could scrape this in profiles easily. I don't know. I typically gravitate to the one that's made by Appify. So if it has a little Appify logo here, odds are they maintain it. It's probably pretty good. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to check to see if I could do what I want to do inside of Appify. Then assuming that I can do it inside of Appify, then I'm going to think, okay, great. Now that we've like accomplished this mission, how do we bring it into N8N and actually like proceed with it? How do we actually take it into our no-code tool? Because right now it's on the Appify website, right? So first things first, it gives you a bunch of prompts and information here. What is your Instagram username? I've already typed in Nick_Sarayev. Maximum reels per profile. I set it to 5 just now. I don't really know if like 5 is enough. Like logically, just thinking out loud, do people really post more than 5 Instagram reels a day? Probably not. I'm sure the algorithm would punish you or something. So yeah, let's just not do that. What I'm going to do instead, I'm just going to run it. So right now it's actually starting a crawler. In the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, you see memory just went up to 1 gigabyte. That's like, this is like a paid service in my case. I don't know, it's $2 per 1,000 reels I scrape. So probably spending like 10 cents a day or something. But we're actually like renting out a server somewhere in order to do this. And great, we just did this in 14 seconds. We scraped 5 entries. That's making good time. If I follow 10 people, it'll probably take like, I don't know, like a minute and a half or something. And we have all the data. So I have one of my Instagram reels here, how to get infinite content ideas. Use a YouTube comment scraper. How I made $1 million with automation. Take my community programs and, okay, I'm not just going to make this an ad. Yeah, so I have all the data that I need here. What do I do with it? Well, we need to find a way to stick it into N8N, right? So the good news is Appify has a bunch of very good documentation. So I'm going to go Appify synchronous actor run. I think that's what it's called. And we're going to want to do this. Basically what this allows us to do is it allows us to run an actor. An Appify server is called an actor when you trigger it. But we can run one of their actors just using N8N, doing an API call. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to check to see if I still have this pasted? No, I don't. So I need to go grab my API key. The cool thing about Appify is you can just make your own API key for whatever purpose. Then you can just like delete or retroactively like take it out. And it makes it really, really easy to get up and running with their API. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste in my bearer token, and then it's going to ask me in their API docs on the right-hand side, they have this sort of like request builder, which is really handy. You know, what exactly am I going to feed in as an actor ID? Well, usually what happens if I just go back here, usually the actor ID is just whatever's up in the URL. So I don't know for sure, but we're just going to give it a go. I'm going to paste that in. And it looks like we need some fields, honestly. I don't know exactly what we're going to provide as a field. Okay, so obviously we need actor ID, fine. We need body. Body's just an object? Yeah, crap, I don't really know what I'm going to feed in there. Not really sure. I think I need to grab the input, right? So what we're going to have to do is go here, go JSON. Okay, here we go. And then this is going to be the input. So I'm just going to copy this over, and I'm going to go back to their API documentation, and I'm just going to feed in this. And as you see, if I send this API request, let's see if there's an error or something. As you know, we just probably started something, right? I think. So this may be running. I'm just going to go back here and check. Yeah. Okay, so this actually worked. Okay, perfect. So I just verified that it worked using Appify's own little like API Explorer thing, where you put in your API token, you put in the actor ID, you put in the input JSON, and then voila. So now that I have that, what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to copy all of the curl, just using the little copy button, go back to N8N, and I'm going to go HTTP request, and I'm going to import curl and just paste in all of this code. Okay. So as we see here, what we've done is we've just reconstructed the curl request, curl being just a library that people typically use to send requests just in their terminal. We've taken all that data and we've just copy and pasted and built our own request here. The only thing that we're going to need is, like we're hard coding an actor ID, and that's fine. But the only thing we're going to need is we're going to need our API token. So I'm just going to go back to the account. I'm going to copy my API token, come back here and then paste it. Beautiful. And we should now be able to run everything inside of N8N. Let me just wait to see if that other actor is now completed. Good, because I don't want to double up on it. I'm going to go back and then give this a quick test. So crossing our fingers, APIs are always fun to work with, but if there are any bugs, then they'll actually be kind of exciting because then we get to work with them together like friends. Anyway, let's go back to Appify before somebody calls me a loser, steals my lunch money. Cool, it looks like it worked. Awesome, succeeded. Awesome, and it looks like it succeeded, but we didn't get anything, which is kind of weird. So I don't actually like this. I would prefer to get some data back, right? So let me take a quick peek here. Just want to make 100% sure that there's nothing weird going on. Because like we should get some sort of response, right? Like we should get some data. I don't really know why we're not. Okay, let's say we had a 201, 400, or 408. Okay, actually that's kind of annoying. I guess we don't actually get do we not get the data? Oh, you know what? I'm using the wrong endpoint. Okay, I take that back. Don't do it like me. Actually do this. This was actually going to return all of the data for you. For whatever reason, I guess they have two endpoints, one called run actor synchronously, the other run actor synchronously and get data set items. How the heck was I supposed to know? Okay, so I'm just going to copy this over and I'm just going to paste this in and then grab the ID and then we're going to redo it. Okay, let's see if that works or see if I need to feed in some stuff that I haven't already done. I think that everything is the same here. So if I go back, yeah, okay, cool. We're running it now. So let's see if we can actually get the data inside of Appify. Let this be a lesson to always check the API request or the endpoint that you are sending to. Sometimes certain endpoints are better than other endpoints. In this case, this will combine a two-step process and turn it into a one-step process for me. Instead of just firing off the actor and having it run and then having to pull it later to see if it's done, I'm going to be able to do it 2-in-1. I'm basically going to be running it, and then there's some built-in trigger flow or whatever where after you're done running it, it'll send the results back to me. That's the idea anyway. Okay, so it's 5 of 6 pages now. Beautiful. We should be getting close. Awesome. And it worked. Beautiful. We got all the data inside of N8N. Fantastic. That's cool. Look at that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pin this. So this is now pinned inside of N8N. That just means I don't have to re-request the data in order to do something with it. For now, we're just going to do the when clicking test workflow. For organizational purposes, I'm just going to rename this to just run actors synchronously, just so I kind of know what's going on from a glance. And then if you think about it, what do we do next? Well, we just have to build our database, and then we have to like cross-reference against it. So I have a little Google Sheet over here that I was just putting together before I was like, oh man, I should probably record a video on this if I'm doing this anyway. It's called Instagram Reel Database, right? Pretty straightforward, pretty simple. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to get all the header fields that I want, put them in here, and then once I have them, we can actually go through and do something with this. So what header fields do I want? Input URL, do I need that? No, I don't really need that. Just go JSON. ID, I definitely need an ID. So this is how we're going to cross-reference and check to see whether or not like the data that we are sending is already in the database. Type video, do I need that really? If I'm scraping reels, I probably don't, right? Short code, I don't know what short code is. Might be some other ID, so I'm going to put that in there. Caption for sure. I'm going to want the caption. Hashtags, yeah, sure. Why don't we just like get the whole, let's just combine all of the hashtags and then we'll put like a comma and then that way, like instead of it being an array, we're just gonna have one. Mentions, I'm not gonna do mentions. URL, that's good. Comments count, that's good. First comment, I like that. Latest comments, this looks really big. I don't really want this. So no, get the hell out of here. Height and width, do I really care about this? No. Display URL, probably. I think that's like the thumbnail. Leave that in there. Video URL for sure. This is probably what we're gonna use to generate the transcript. Alt, likes count, definitely. Video view count, so 57,000. Ooh, video play count. Wait, what's the difference between video views and video plays? That's weird. Timestamp. You know what we should do? Now that I'm thinking about it, we should probably organize these based off timestamp. Yeah, like how recently they came in would be good. What's weird is this isn't actually a timestamp. Like that's not what you call a timestamp. Timestamp is usually a like a Unix timestamp, and that's usually this. So they're apparently just putting in a date and calling it a timestamp. Okay, whatever. Owner full name, so owner username. So I'll probably grab like username, sure. That's fine. Product type, clips, video duration. That seems like it might be interesting. Video duration, 36.7 seconds, cool. Is sponsored, false. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna filter out everything. Well, if I'm gonna filter out everything that's a sponsor, then I don't really need it, do I? Music info, do I really need that? No. Okay, great. So honestly, we have everything that we need for our database now. Just gonna that is our database, this beautiful, lovely Google Sheet. What I'm going to do is I always just like to like have the header be a different color. So I'm going to make this nice pastel blue, and the text will be dark blue. Perfect. And then I'm going to change the font to Enter because I'm just a giant slut for Enter. Okay. Perfect. We now have everything that we need in order to like add data to it. Oh, why don't I just change the name from Sheet 1 to Reels or something? That'll be easier. So if you think about it, okay, so if you think about it, we should also actually add a transcript. And then on top of that, maybe we'll do scraped transcript. On top of that, we're going to do like a new transcript. Yeah, that's going to be like mine, new transcript. And then we can stick that all together. Beautiful. So, okay, well, now we have basically everything we need, right? Fantastic. We can move on to the next step, which is verifying whether or not this data exists in the database. So logically, I kind of just like, in order to test this, I need to dump a few records into the database. That's what we're going to do first. Then once we've dumped the records into the database, I'm going to delete a couple, and then I'm going to see if we can like incorporate the logic that sorts them out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'll go Sheets. I'm just going to go Add Rows. So append row, I guess. I've already done this connection. If you haven't, you basically have to sign in with Google if you have a cloud N8N account like I do, or you have to go through like connecting. I don't think you have to do a service account, but you have to go through like adding OAuth, which is where you have to go into your Google Cloud Console account. I think it's back here probably. And then you have to sign in, of course, because my organization wants to make sure it's really me. You know, it's not just a robot pretending to be me like so many people on YouTube apparently think. And what you want to do is just go to like your homepage here. On the left-hand side, go to APIs and Services. Go down to Sheets right over here. From Google Sheets, there'll be a Credentials tab, and this Credentials tab will allow you to create an OAuth 2.0 client ID. So you actually have to create credentials, go through the rigmarole of creating an OAuth client ID. It's just going to ask you some simple questions. Just call it like an N8N project or something. And then you're going to have Client ID, client date, you'll be able to generate client secrets and stuff like that you can copy and paste, the new ones anyway. And then you can put all that information in there. But yeah, for our purposes, we don't need any of that because I've already done the connection multiple times and I'm on cloud, so I just need to click that one button. Now what I want to do is the resource I'm going to be targeting is a sheet within a document, operation append row. What I want is I want that Instagram reel database. And it looks like the newest file just pops up at the top, which is great. The sheet that I want is I just want reels. Okay, great. So now I have the ability to map each column manually. So I can map each column. I guess what I can do also though, like if you think about it, is I've already gone through all of the work naming it the same thing here, right? So can I do this? Hashtags as an array? You know what? Screw it. I might as well try it. The thing is though, I don't like that there are all 5 items here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add a limiter. The limit is just gonna take it so that I can only feed in 1 item at a time. And this is gonna do a couple of things. Number one, with N8N, unfortunately, the Google Sheets query is typically array limited pretty fast. So they just have really crappy like rate limiting, or they're making a lot of requests or whatever the hell's going on. I don't know. But we're just gonna fix that. So we're gonna make it a lot slower of a request, or an engine, I should say. And we're only going to do 1 at a time during testing, just so that I don't like ramp up my API usage. Okay, let's do test step and let's see what happens. Just ran test step. It's executing. Okay, great. It seems like it added. So let's go back here. And did we add everything? I think we added most things. Yeah. Hashtags is an array. So there's that. But that's okay. I'll just leave it as an array. It'll be easier to do work with it later. You know what? It's adding too much data. I don't really want all this extra data, man. I do not want the extra data, man. All right, you know what? I'm just going to map it manually. Screw it. Not worth. I don't want an ugly database. I want it beautiful and young and fresh. Okay, so we're just gonna map this. So ID is just gonna be here, right? So I'm just gonna drag it, drop it, voila. You can just map directly from the JSON. I'm a big fan of JSON, obviously. Okay, we need the timestamp. So where the hell's that timestamp? Let's go back here. Timestamp, come to me, timestamp. Short code. Caption. We got to do the hashtags as well. The cool thing is, since I'm doing the hashtags, I can now like join the hashtags with a comma and then a space, right? So that'll kind of get it in this format. Do I need to? No, I don't really think I need to, honestly. Might be a little bit prettier, but does that really matter? No. Okay, the URL, just gonna pop that in there. Comments count, right? That's over here, first comment. I don't know, I just like the first comment. Because you know that there's gonna be like a, man, Nick really fell off first comment soon. As these are wont to do. Video URL, likes count, where's likes count? Video view count. You know, the biggest quality of life upgrade to N8N would be if they didn't make their drag and drop thing hide the subsequent field like it does here, because it just hides the subsequent field. Like they should pop down this like an extra inch or something, so I don't cover the thing I'm trying to do next logically, right? But what are you gonna do? Just get a bunch of big brain geniuses together. They don't really care about stuff like this. Okay, so scrape transcript, new transcript. Yeah, that's it. And then I'm just going to delete all the rest of these so they don't dump in. No, and then just get rid of all these. And then, yeah, okay, we should be good. Did I delete everything? Yeah, I did. Okay, let's test this again. So now I'm adding them in. We should just blast every row here except for scraped and new transcript. Now, because of that, I'm going to widen this a little bit. This looks good. I don't like the wrapping thing, so I'm actually just going to turn off wrapping. Yeah, no wrapping. And then I'm just going to make all these way smaller. Actually, I'm just going to grab this and then go like that. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. That way, when I add a new row, it's just all going to be on one line instead of like 100. I just don't really like the 100 line thing. Hashtags, obvious, ID, okay, timestamp. So we're gonna sort probably by timestamp, and then like we're probably gonna use this as the primary key. URL of the post is here. Comment count, fine. Okay, display URL. This is really long. I don't like that. Let's make that way shorter. It's important to me to be able to see everything while I'm doing testing. So this one step you might think that I'm just being weird and unnecessarily, I don't know what you want to call it, OCD about this, or like detail oriented or missing the big picture, but it makes a big picture, makes a big picture. It makes a big difference when you actually go through and you do the testing. Okay, so this is pretty good. Obviously, we're just gonna make this a little bit smaller so I can see the scrape transcript coming when it does. So now we basically have the database, right? So if you think about it, I've just added one entry to the database. So what I want now is I want logic. I'm going to pass 2 through the limiter, and then I want logic to see, hey, is this already present? If this is already in the database, then I don't want to add it. But if it's not, then I do want to add it. So how do you do that logic in N8N? It's interesting. A lot of people, I kind of come from like a make.com background, right? It's a similar no-code tool, but a lot of people don't really know how to do this logic in N8N, which is interesting because to me, it's just like the foundational logic behind everything. So I'm just going to change max items to 2. So now we can pass an extra entry through so we could like check to see whether or not more than one is in. And if you think about it, I don't just want to add it in, right? What I want to do is I want to do something that looks up in my database to see whether or not that entry exists. So I'm going to go get rows and sheet. I'm going to connect to my other credential. And I'm going to connect to the database, which was Instagram Reel. And then sheet again was just reels. And now I need to add a filter. So this is a part that I think a lot of people miss, but essentially what you can do is you can add a filter that searches to see if one of your columns is equal to something. So if you think about it, what I want to check to see if ID is equal to the ID of the entry that's coming in, right? If it is equal, then I'm going to find an entry, basically. Then if it's not equal, then I'm not going to find the entry. So that's pretty cool, right? I have a bunch of options here: data location on sheet, output formatting, return only, first matching. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it there. And then basically what I want is if I don't find anything, I'm going to have it output the data regardless. And this is very important. If you miss this step, our logic isn't going to work. Then what I want is I kind of want like an if and then, right? And then I want to say, like I have to execute the previous node, but logically what I want is, if this ends up being empty, then I'll proceed down the true route. And then if it doesn't end up being empty, if there is an entry, I'll just stop right here. And like there's a do nothing operation, which is just kind of handy to logically see what you're doing. So in my case, I'm doing nothing. I'm just going to like leave the do nothing node down here. It's just so it's blatantly obvious that like, okay, well, we're just stopping if we don't find anything. So this is where we're at right now. We are going to have to add a little bit more complexity to this when I run this at scale, simply because, as I mentioned earlier, N8N a lot of the time struggles with like doing these bulk API requests to Google Sheets, and like you can technically increase your quota limit and stuff like that. I personally haven't done it, and I think the vast majority of people just don't ever do it. So just to make our lives a little bit easier, we are going to be passing this through what's called like a loop. The loop is basically going to slowly do it one at a time instead of, try and do 100 entries at once like N8N likes to do. But yeah, anyway, we're at this Google Sheets step. Let's see what happens. We're feeding in 2 entries logically, right? The first is already in the database. The second is not in the database. So let's see what happens. I'm going to feed in 2, and we're going to see what the output is on both of these runs. So test step, it's finding. And it only ran once, or rather, it ran twice, once for each input item, but it only found 1 entry here, okay? So we're returning that 1 entry, and we're only going to be proceeding with that 1 entry, I guess. So we found 1 item, basically. We fed in 2 items, we got 1. So, yeah, so now that we have this 1 item, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be checking. It found the item that was in my database. That's what I meant to say. So now that we found the item that's in the database, there are a variety of ways that we could do this. Like what I could do is I could take ID and I could say, I believe I could say exists or is empty or something. Actually, let me just go JSON. If JSON exists, then I don't want to proceed with the flow logically, right? Let's just run this through. So JSON does exist, which is true. So what we want is doesn't exist. If JSON doesn't exist, which is false, then it'll end right here. You can just give this little test step a run, even though it does nothing. Awesome. Okay, great. So now what we need to do is we need to somehow sort out the true branch, okay? Then if it's true, then we need to append the new record to the database. So just thinking, I'm not actually fully understanding why it's not running. This should run twice. We should have this return 2 rows. One should be found, and then the other should not be found because this is running twice. So let me see. Okay, you know what I'm going to do instead? I'm going to do some pretty interesting merge logic. Merge logic is going to solve this problem and also just make it easier for us. We're going to grab the input, and then we're going to create an output. The output is going to be the elements that are new. So let's go here. I'm going to go merge. And what I want is I want combine, fields to match, I want IDs, and then I want to keep non-matches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed in a merge. And if you're unfamiliar with how this works, then don't sweat. I'll show you how this works in a moment. Let's just do this so it's kind of visible. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed in this Google Sheets output, and I'm going to feed in the original input, and it's going to remove the element in the original input that was found inside of the Google Sheet. And that way, the output of the merge node is only going to be the data that I want to add. So let's run this. Let's see. We have one item. The item is this ID, 35638. Let me just check my Google Sheet. That is a different ID. Beautiful. It's comment speech, not comment roses, right? We feed in comment roses, we get comment speech. Beautiful. Now, as an output, I don't believe I actually need this. I lied. And we can just go directly down the Google Sheets, and we can actually grab the data from the merge node instead, which should just be the same, honestly. And now we should be good. And I think I've avoided that if-then logic, which is nice, because if-then logic can just be kind of annoying. So let's give this a try now. What should happen, start to finish, is we should get the 5, and then we should only add 1. Yeah, there you go. So we only added 1, right? So as a sanity check, right, what I want to do now is I want to run this one more time with both of the elements then in my database, as well as the same elements here, because I just want to double check that this is going to work. Expected behavior is we're going to get 2 items to come in from the limit, right? We're going to read the Google Sheet, and we're going to get 0 items coming out. Those 0 items and these 2 items, we're going to get 2 items coming out. The 2 items and the 2 items are both going to subtract, and then we're going to be at 0. That's my expected behavior. Let's see what happens. Perfect. That's what happened. We got 2 items here, 2 items here, nothing carried forward. So our system is now sort of like self-annealing, basically. A fancy word for saying it just like regulates itself. You know, it's elegant, at least more elegant than what I was trying to do before. All right. So now that we have that, what we need to do is we need to add the new entries, as we've already done. Once we've added the new entries, you kind of think of it like, okay, great. So we have all of the front part of the flow done. What we need to do now is we need to actually go through and find a way to download this thing and then turn that into a transcript. Once we have the transcript, then we can do all that fun AI stuff. So where we are right now is we're right over here. We just figured out how to do this stuff. So if I just get nice and green, so, sorry, we did this. Let's go here. We did this, we did this, we did this, we did this. Now, basically, we just have to figure out how we're going to transcribe the reel. So I think there are a variety of ways. What I'm going to do first is I'm just going to see if I can get the data. Like, I probably should have done this initially, but I'm going to see if I can get the video and like play it. Hey, there's a complete, oh my God, I'm loud. Okay, thanks, man. Okay, great. So, I mean, we can obviously get the video. That's cool. So I could probably just feed this in a Whisper, couldn't I? I think I could. Whisper might need an MP3. Whisper, for those of you that don't know, is just OpenAI's model, which allows you to basically just like transcribe any text. Could you do MP4? Could we do Whisper MP4? Let me check. We might be able to demux the audio, the MP4 file. Okay. Interesting. Well, let's just give this a try first. So I'm going to go OpenAI first, because I'm familiar with OpenAI and I know how it works. That's kind of what's going here. Transcribe a recording. Limits the size of the audio file to 25 megabytes. Let me see how big the audio file, or this file. Hey, there's a completely new AI. All right, relax. Let's download this. See just how chunky it is. 2.1 megabytes. So the MP4 is 2.1 megabytes. I'm probably going to be fine. So let me grab my YouTube credential. The resource is going to be audio. I'm going to transcribe a recording. The input field name is data. So it needs to be a binary file. Okay. So I basically just need to download that file, turn it into a binary file. Well, I guess we have to download, right? Can I just convert a JSON data to binary data? Is that going to work? I don't actually know. I don't remember how to download a file N8N. Let me take a quick peek. HTTP request to download file. Okay. Yeah. We're just going to give it a download. Response format's going to be text. So first of all, we're just going to download this. So what I basically need to feed in here, if you think about it, we don't have data accessible from our previous node during this test. Unfortunately, it's really annoying. So we actually need to execute them all again. Why don't I go back here and just delete one of these? Okay. Let's just execute all of the previous nodes all the way up until here. Apparently, we're not getting anything, which is annoying. I'm not really sure why. We are feeding in 2. Is it the pinned output here? I think realistically what we should do is I should test this again step by step and then pin all the results. That'll make it easier for me. That way I just don't have to do all these dang API requests to Google Sheets, which I don't really like doing. Okay, we're going to pin that output. Let's run this. We should get 1 now. Cool, we got 1 pin Google Sheets now. We can test this. We're going to get 1 output here because we just ran it. Thank you. Okay, great. So now that we have this, we can actually do the HTTP request to that data, right? So the URL is going to be video URL and get authentication. No. Can I just do like a file format here? Or do I need to pass a header that says download a file? I don't know. Let's just test the step and see what happens. We're calling the page. Okay, we got data. Looks like it was a video to MP4 file. So now I'm going to pin this as well. I guess I can't do that with binary data. That's annoying. Containing the binary file to be processed. Well, this says it's an MP4. I don't actually know if this is technically binary. Let's see what happens if I run this. Who knows? We might get lucky. Oh, okay, great. Yeah, no, we don't actually need to do anything. Fantastic. That's way easier than I thought it would be. We just downloaded the file and we passed it through the OpenAI Whisper node. And it looks like it doesn't only work off audio, it also works off MP4. Probably has a built-in API endpoint to get the file name, get the file extension. And then if it's a video or MP4, it automatically does like the demuxing, which is awesome. Okay, great. So yeah, we have the script right here, which is nice. What I'm going to do is, let's just, well, we can't pin that, but I think we should be able to pin this, right? Cool. Let's pin this. So now we have the transcription. What we basically want to do is, if we go back to our little drawing here, this is now done, right? So this is now good. What we basically want to do is we want to filter this. So I'm going to write a really quick AI prompt. That AI prompt's job is going to be to go through, grab the contents of the reel, and then, in my case, it's obviously AI. But I'm going to make sure, like, hey, is this an AI? Is this an AI development? Is this something about AI or technology or automation? Maybe I'll go a little bit broader. I'll say, like, hey, is this a tool? A tool, a technology, or AI? And then if the answer to that, any one of these questions is yes, then we'll proceed with the flow. If not, we'll just drop it off and stop, okay? Yeah, that probably makes the most sense. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to grab the tool and technology. And then maybe we could figure out how to use the tool and technology to do something cool. Maybe we get like a step-by-step on how to use this for some automation agency purpose or something. I don't know. I haven't really thought it out that far, but maybe we'll just kind of do it organically as I'm putting things together. All right, so we've come a long way. One small step for Nick, but one giant step for YouTube kind here. I'm just going to save this really quickly. And now I'm just going to take this over to an OpenAI call again. We're going to do messaging model, which is where I just talk to artificial intelligence candidly. I'll use the YouTube Feb4 credential. If you don't know how to connect with this, you do have to go through some rigmarole of like getting your API key, which you can do so just by clicking more info down there. What I'm going to want to use as a model is I'll probably use GPT-4o just because I think it's the smartest one for the lowest cost right now. And I'm always going to add, at minimum, like 3 prompts. I'm going to add a system prompt, then I'm going to add a user prompt, and then I'm going to add another user prompt. But I usually add more because I want to give it an example. But let me run you through this. The system prompt is just how it identifies. You are a helpful, intelligent, I'm going to say admin assistant because I wanted to make some administrative decisions. Then under user, we're actually going to write our prompt. Now, it's hard for me to like dictate what I'm thinking when I'm writing these prompts, but generally speaking, like some overarching rules of thumb, write as simply as possible. Don't use unnecessary verbiage if you don't have to. Keep in mind that the models are smarter with fewer tokens and simpler instructions. Give as few conflicting pieces of data as possible. Generally, just like pretend that it's a staff member and just talk to it and give it instructions that you would give a staff member. So like, the way that I like to talk with staff members is like, hey, what is it that you're doing? Why is it important? What are some examples of like a good job done and a bad job done? So let me just run through this and kind of see. So your task, so we are an AI and automation. Maybe I'll say AI and automation Instagram channel. I'm looking through news archives to find mentions of tools that I can repurpose for content, purpose into content for my channel. That seems pretty reasonable. That's who I am. Let's now give it some instructions and maybe some context. So your task is to take as input a transcription of a news archive and then determine if the transcription is about a tool, a technology, or AI. If so, you'll, let me think. You'll identify the tools. That's a good thing to do. Write a list of step-by-step instructions to use the tool. Identify the tools. Then write a list of step-by-step instructions to use the tool. And then output everything. Let's not do that. What do I want out of this? I wanted to identify the tools used because I'm going to use it probably to do some searches later. I also wanted to write a list of step-by-step instructions to use the tool easily, ideally for free or for low cost. And then once I do this, I'm going to do the generation later. And one suggestion on how to make the content more palatable, on exactly how to make this content more palatable to an AI automation audience. Let's do that. That sounds pretty interesting. Return your output in JSON using this format. Now I'm going to give it a format. The very first element I want is I want tools. And I just want like I want an array of tools. No, I don't. I mean, an array would be the best logically, but I don't think I'm going to. Maybe I will. List of tools. Let's do list of tools or resources. Okay. And then why don't we do step by step? We can't do that with JSON. So step by step instructions, detailed instructions on how to use the tools. That looks good. And then why don't we go suggestion? Very comprehensive. Let's go comprehensive, in-depth suggestions on how to make this content more interesting and palatable to my audience. AI automation. That sounds pretty cool. Okay, let's give that a go. This looks pretty good to me. We have basically everything we need. Now, if you did want to make this a little bit better, obviously what you'd have to do is you'd have to give it examples. So I may do this with a couple of reels. If I do, I'm not going to do it on like the video. I'm just going to really quickly whip it up and then show you guys after. If not, we're going to see how it goes. So I've written my my system prompt, now my first user prompt. Now I'm going to write my second user prompt. And my second user prompt, if you think about it logically, like I'm just going to feed this in. So I'm going to say transcript. And just make sure the words are the exact same because I want this to be as simple as possible for this model to understand. Sorry, I guess first we should determine verdict, true or false. Then I'm going to say if verdict is false, and we're just going to do it in a string format, which may be a little bit confusing to you if you're used to it in Boolean. But we're just going to say if verdict is false, leave the rest of the fields empty, just for simplicity. Okay, great. So transcript, we're going to put the text right over here. Nice. And then we're outputting it as JSON. Awesome. Any fields here? Anything I'm going to do? No, I don't think so. Let's test it. Let's run it. Now, obviously, our verdict should be true because I'm feeding it my own data, which is all about, some AI text-to-speech generator, right? Cool, the verdict is true. If I turn this into schema, I have AI. Oh, well, that's not what I want. I guess I'm not actually saying the name of the frickin' thing, right? That's interesting. I'm not even saying the name of the tool. It's just a text-to-speech generator. Man, that's wild. Can I just edit this? And can I just go back to my reel and see what tool I was using? Because I think it was SpeechMo. Is it SpeechMo? Yeah, I think it was SpeechMo. Okay. Why don't I go? It's called SpeechMo. And it allows you to use, okay, great. Okay. That looks pretty good. So now it's going to say it's called SpeechMo. So now when I actually run this, we should extract the tool. It's funny. I didn't actually mention the tool name in my reel. Maybe at some level, I was like, I wonder if anybody else is going to scrape me. Okay, great. Now we have the step-by-step. Visit the SpeechMo website. Enter your paste or your text in the provided text box. 400 voices. Cool. This looks pretty good. Voice comparison test using SpeechMo versus other popular tools. That's a great idea. Yeah. Very cool. Okay. I think this is great. Awesome. So right over here, I'm just going to rename this to transcribe. Make it really simple. Over here, I'm going to say filter, content, and generate suggestions. It's a little long. Let's say filter and generate suggestions. That looks cool. Anything else I have to do here just to make my life a little bit easier? So run actor synchronously, limit. Let's just do search for entries. I'm going to say drop duplicates. Over here, we're going to do add entries. Here, we're going to download video. Then we're going to transcribe video. Then we're going to filter and generate suggestions. Awesome. I'm now going to pin this output. Thank goodness for the ability to pin outputs, man. Blow my mind. How so many other no-code tools don't have this. And now once I've done filtering and generating the suggestions, I'm going to use one of my script templates. Or maybe I should, maybe, you know what I should probably do? I should check out Perplexity. Is Perplexity in here? No. Maybe what I'm going to do is do a Perplexity HTTP call, look up the service, and then I'm going to have it scrape the website of the service, and then tell me something really interesting about the service that is not in the thing. And then I'm going to add that to the script. Genius. That's cool. And then I get to show up Perplexity too. What a win. Okay, cool. So check this out, right? So Perplexity is right over here. I'm going to do, what do you want to know? What is one interesting thing about SpeechMo? What are 3 interesting, peculiar things about SpeechMo, the AI text-to-speech tool? I mean, this is pretty cool, right? 3 interesting features of SpeechMo. Okay, cool. So, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to Perplexity. I think I have it over here, right? No, I don't. I should be signed into Perplexity, honestly. Not really sure why I'm not. So let me log in again. Perplexity is a tool that allows you to not only do a search and talk with AI, but you can actually get data from Google, basically. I mean, it's kind of like Google. I'm just going to copy the link and move it back here just in case there's an issue with the authentication. Sign-in link is oh, no, I'm signed in, man. I don't need that. Okay, great. Where do I get, no, I don't want to download this. I want to get my API stuff. Do I have any money on this account? I do. I have $2.63. So I'm going to copy over this API key, and I just need to figure out how to actually do an API request to Perplexity, right? So let's go to Docs. Let's quick start. I have a payment, so that's fine. Can I just run this? Be really cool if I could run this. Okay. Make your API call Perplexity, model Sonar Pro, system, be precise and concise. How many stars are there in a galaxy? I mean, yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm going to go over here, make another HTTP call. This is going to be my Perplexity. Search Perplexity. Then I'm going to go over here, double click this, import curl, paste in this new request. Then I'm going to have to feed in the API key that I just copied, right? So let's go back here, copy this API key, go back, paste it in. How many stars are there in our galaxy right now? I'm going to test this sample API request. It looks like it's an invalid model, maybe because there's a space there. I'm going to get rid of that. They should probably fix that in their API docs. They haven't already. Milky Way galaxy. Okay, cool. So I have the content. So now what I'm going to do is, what did I just ask Perplexity a second ago? I asked it, tell me 3 interesting things, peculiar things about SpeechMa, the AI text-to-speech tool. Free and unlimited usage, vast library versus, okay, I mean, like, you know, reasonable. Obviously, it's going to be different every time. But let me just run this query now through AI. So I'll say, tell me 3 interesting things about SpeechMa. Let's give this a test. Let's see if it can do it, first of all. Very cool. Very cool. Okay, sweet. So now we have a Perplexity output. And the cool thing is, this is going to combine with the generate suggestions now for us to rewrite our thing. So let's pin the outputs there. By the way, you can pin just by mousing over and then pressing P. I've been doing it sort of the long way all around just because I want to show you guys, but yeah, it's that easy. And then now let's go and feed this into another AI call. So I'm just going to copy and paste this, then drag this puppy in. Instead of filter and generate suggestions, now it's going to be rewrite script, or maybe like write real, write new script. Let's do that. We're going to feed in the generated suggestions with the Perplexity data. And we're going to stick all that stuff just in one like prompt. And then we're going to train it and give it 2 or 3 examples. And we're ultimately going to have it write me a script, which then I can add down scrape transcript and then new transcript. And we're going to take new transcript. And then that's what I'm going to pump through my little, that's what I'm going to pump through my teleprompter. How cool. So you're helpful, intelligent. Let's do writing assistant. Now let's not do script writing. I don't want it to get confused. But you're a helpful, intelligent assistant. Now I'm going to say I run an AI and automation Instagram channel. I'm looking for news archives, so I've already done that. My editors would like to make a new video. They've got source data, a step-by-step guide. They found an interesting tool or technology, compiled a step-by-step guide on how to use it, done some searching on the internet about what's interesting about it, to find what's interesting about it, some interesting things about it, and also written suggestions for how to make the content better. LG. Okay. Write a script about it. Write a, let's say, rough draft on it, about it. And we also had our chief editor write suggestions, concrete suggestions for how to make the content better. Your task is to take as input all of these things and then write a new high quality script for us to say tonight, for us to feature tonight. Let's do that. I mean, you know, none of this really matters, so maybe I'll remove that. I want to confuse it. Tonight. Are you a news channel? Okay, great. Return your output. Okay, return your output in JSON using this format. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to call this script. Your script goes here, and then if I just go back, what's the length of the thing that I just made? I go over here, and I just go to word counter, and then I just paste this in. It's about 100 words, right? So what I'm going to do is I'll just say, script goes here. Let's go around 100 words. Then for rules, I'll say, be concise, use a casual, Spartan tone of voice, no frills. Say, follow the provided examples as closely as possible. Follow the provided examples closely as possible in tone of voice, or in tone of voice and subject matter. And then I'll say, end the script with a call action like want the want thing. Just comment keyword and I'll send it straight to your DMs. Perfect. Man, it'd be so cool if we could fully automate Instagram, man. So cool. All right. So listen, why don't we just start by providing it all of the information and then just seeing how it performs on like on one run. And then after that, we'll go through and we'll actually like give it some training examples and stuff. So if you think about it, we're going to need Perplexity output. I'm going to feed in this. And then I actually just want this to look pretty. So I'm going to go to JSON formatter, and then I'm going to pop this in. So I'm just going to do that. And then in addition to Perplexity output, I also want, let's do rough draft script. Actually, let's do rough draft script first. Maximize the quality of this. Rough draft script, then Perplexity output. Then, okay, maybe we'll actually go tool name, rough draft script, Perplexity output, step-by-step guide, then suggestions for improvement. So now I'm just going to map these variables. So suggestion is going to go here. Step-by-step guide is going to go here. Tool names, I think I should just go tools.join. So I guess if there's only one element, we're just going to feed in thing. But what if there's more, you know? Why don't I just go join? Yeah, I'm just going to use join. That's probably the simplest way to do it. Rough draft script is going to be the output of the transcription node, right? Okay, cool. So now if you think about it, we have everything we need to actually generate JSON and then scrape it. So I'm just going to see how it works on like this completely bare bones sample input, and then we're going to give it a go. It looks like I'm having an issue with item. Why is that? Transcribe video, item, JSON text. I think the reason is it can't figure out the matching item. It's because OpenAI returned incorrect matching information. Okay, well, I'm just going to go first because it's just one here, right? It's always just going to be the same one. No? Strange. We should get that data. Let me see. Let me delete this. We'll go again. And then what I want is transcribe video. And then I want item first, right? Or is it dot first? Oh boy. All dot first dot JSON dot text. Should be good. I'm going now to test this. We should be feeding in the rough draft script correctly. I hope so. I really don't like the script here. Guys, check out SpeechMa. It's kind of boring. So we're definitely gonna have to train it. We're gonna have to like show it our tone of voice. The good news is we have a database that It's going to be pretty simple for me to use. So why don't I give that a quick look? I don't actually remember exactly where that is. Scripts? Voicemail scripts? No. It's right over here. Okay, yeah, this is it. Okay, these look reasonable, right? Let's do some of my new ones. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to give it some examples. So what I have to do is I have to come up with all this for like some example tools. So let's add a couple of messages because I'm going to do two. I'm going to do one example. Once I'm done with the example, I'm going to give it an assistant. So this will be the output here. Let me copy all this. I don't like why the formatting is like this. It's very annoying. Should be good here. Oh, you know what? No, that's not what I want. I just want one object. Ooh, I hope I didn't just delete a bunch of stuff. I think I did, yeah. Okay, let's do this. User. Why am I having a stroke right now? Tool names down here. Okay, so no, we want this last one to be the expression with the actual data. We want this to be an assistant prompt, which will contain a single item called script. And then this will be an example. So I'm actually just going to go over here and I'm going to strip all this and I'm going to have to write my own example. So that should be reasonable. Not going to be too big of a deal, but yeah, anyway, let's feed it this as an example. And let's just replace all new lines with actual new lines. New lines above with characters. Just have AI do it really quickly. Thank you. Thank you. Ooh, wonderful. Single new lines? Really? I don't know about that, man. Might need some doubles there. Okay, we're going to copy it. I'm then going to generate this. I'll leave it as fixed for now. Oh, we doubled up on the quotes. Let's just remove that. Looks like we use some weird quote character too. So that looks pretty good. Cool. So I basically now need an example of 11 labs. So I need an example of a shitty script that we turn into a good script, or like a subpar script that we turn into a good script. So I'm going to go to this expression editor and then tool name, we'll call this speechma. Because, we didn't actually do it for this, right? So I need to just come up with this, which is kind of annoying. But anyway, tool names, it'll just be speechma. Rough draft script. I guess what I could do, so I could say, rewrite this, but make it worse. That's actually pretty funny. Get long and circuitous and bland. Remove the 60 languages and the no restrictions part. So that way, it's hopefully going to pattern match the fact that I want it to add more details. And, maybe the source content's going to be really long and annoying. Okay. So, oh, sorry. So that's not what I want. I wanted rough draft script to be that, right? So I got to go back here and I just got to copy all of this in. Rough draft script's going to be this. It didn't really do that. It has a lot of voices. And the best part is you don't need to sign up for an account. Okay. The process is simple. go to the site and type whatever you want converted. There are lots of voices. Cool. So that's going to be a rough draft script. Perplexity output will say what it actually said, which is, here are 3 interesting things about SpeechMa. Wait, yes. Step-by-step guide will then just be this step-by-step guide. And then we're going to, feed it like a different data, basically. No, sorry, I'm just going to want to hard code this in. Suggestions for improvement. Okay. Feed that in. Okay, cool. So we now have, if you think about it, that was a lot. We now have an example of an input that we're going to provide. Then we have an example of an output, which is a tight script, which, I actually, we created before. So I'm just feeding in something that, I've actually said before. And then we're going to feed in the actual data, and then we're going to try and have it do something similar. Make sense? I sure hope so. So the unfortunate thing is, because I'm pinning all this data, we're actually going to have to go and we're going to have to redo it. So why don't I just change the limit so that the max item is 1, but then we're getting the last items. And then I can just work my way through this whole thing. So let's test the step. It's okay. We can overwrite the pin data. Cool. So this is a different one. Humanizer prompt. Very cool. Test the step. No output data returned because there are no entries in the sheet that have that. We can now test this step. Now is going to add to our Google Sheet, if you think about it. So I'm just going to go check out the Google Sheet as it gets added. Very cool. This one looks pretty short, all things considered. We're then going to download the JSON video URL. Cool. We're then going to go to transcribe video, test this puppy. It's going to pump that through Whisper. Whisper is then going to generate a transcript just like it did before. Beautiful. Ooh, very cool. It doesn't look like it got ChatGPT though. Then we're going to filter and generate the suggestions. That's okay. You can unpin and test. This is going to take a little bit longer because we're feeding, a fair amount of text, and it's not just like what we were doing before. ChatGPT. ChatGPT. It doesn't know what ChatGPT is. It is not self-aware yet. Then we will test this step on Perplexity. I love doing this one by one because if you do all of this one by one, you eliminate the possibility for many errors. You basically hone in on where the error is if there does end up being an error. Okay, great. And now we have, why is this still, I think I hard coded this in, didn't I? Yeah. Let's do, that's actually going to kind of suck, man. ChatGPT humanizer prompt. Man, this is such a shitty, crappy example. So I'm trying not to swear. Why don't I just pin this output and pretend it's something else? Okay. Chat GPT. No. Chat GPT. And what I'm going to say is, humanizer. Okay. The tool is just going to be called humanizer. Then we need to provide some context, actually. When I filter and generate suggestions, we need to do one more thing. Search term. A short search term we use to look up search prompt. A short search prompt we'll use to look up the service. Write it like tool name. The type of tool. Okay, I mean, that's not perfect, but now when we test this, we're going to overwrite the output. But it's also going to have a tool, a search prompt parameter, which I should be able just to slot into Perplexity. Chachi. That's so funny. That sucks, man. It's not supposed to be ChatGPT. Anyway, Humanizer AI. Cutting edge series of prompts that improves. Let's see. Cutting edge series of prompts that improves AI output generation. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to save. I've pinned this. Awesome. So I shouldn't be able to search Perplexity using, if you think about it, this. So I can go expression. Tell me 3 interesting or peculiar things about search prompt, which is going to say humanize AI, cutting edge series of prompts that improve AI output generation. Cool. We're now going to search Perplexity. If it can't find anything, it'll just say, I'm sorry, I can't find anything. So we've sort of like built that in, right? Meta prompting techniques. Very cool, very cool. Awesome. And then now we're going to write a new script on this with all of the stuff we had before, including the example. Oh man, I just hate that it's ChatGPT. That sucks. It really undermines my example here. I should change it from ChatGPT to ChatGPT. ChatGPT. Cool. There you go. Now when I search this, I don't actually think I need to, do I? Now I'm going to search this. Oh, geez. Did I feed it in as an input like way back here to filter and generate suggestions? Tools with ChatGPT. This looked pretty good. From what I remember anyway. If we pin this now and we write the new script, it's really going, like, where is it going to get the ChatGPT from? If I go to filter and generate suggestions, okay. Tool names, rough draft script. Perplexity output, step-by-step guide. I think it's probably a step-by-step guide, right? No, I don't think so. Anyway, I don't know where the ChatGPT is coming from. It's saying that I'm feeding in ChatGPT. So instead of me, yeah, like I'm not going to worry too much about it. It looks like it's, hey, are you tired of ChatGPT sounding like a robot? You can transform it into a conversational champ with this humanizer prompt. It's just 16 lines. Add it before any prompt and watch your text go from dull to dynamic. Here's a quick example, before using it and then after. Huge difference, right? This prompt can add storytelling, sprinkle in some humor, and make your content truly shine. Want to try it out? Just comment ChatGPT and I'll send it straight to your DMs. The GPT is obviously the error here. I really don't like the way that it's laid out. So we need to add some new lines. So I'm just going to have a rule. Add new lines as \n between sentences. Let's take this out. And the script with call to action. No frills. Be straightforward and serious. Maybe not serious. Be straightforward and don't use what would you call conversational champ? Just don't use poetic language, let's say. Then over here, I wanted to reduce the output randomness to 0.7. Let's see if ChatGPT. Tired of ChatGPT sounding like a robot? Try this 16-line humanizer prompt. Just paste it before any prompt and watch your content transform into something more natural and engaging. That's pretty good. Yeah, that sounds a lot more reasonable. Cool. All right, so the last thing that we need, if you think about it, is we just have to update the record. So how am I going to update the record? Easy. For all of the entries that come in, right, which in our case is just going to be one item this time, I'm just going to go to add entries, and then instead of append row, we're going to want to update the row. The column that we're going to match It's going to be ID. And then if you think about it, we got to go back and we have to find the data that we just added. So the data that we added is going to be under add entries, right? So I'm going to go here, go ID. Awesome. So now for all the other information, we don't actually want to update it. So let's get rid of all this stuff. The only thing we want to update is we want to update scraped transcript and then new transcript, which was over here. Scraped transcript is going to be right over here. Nope, sorry, right over here. And then new transcript, which I just deleted because I'm a silly man, is going to be all the way up here, and it's going to be this script right here. Okay? All right, let's give this a test. Beautiful. If I go back here, voila, we now have the scraped and the new transcript. Beautiful. Okay, cool. So now if you think about it logically, all I have to do is I just have to go and I have to find a bunch of people in various domains and niches, add them to the input at the very beginning of my flow, which is all the way over here. Feed them in over here under username. Then the results limit, I'm probably just going to make it 5 per person. And then in terms of how I'm going to do this, the last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the trigger, and I'll just do on a schedule. So I'm just going to do once per day. I'm going to trigger it at, let's just do 6 a.m. Feed that in as my input. Then obviously I need to like unpin everything and so on and so forth. So that looks pretty good to me. Yeah. I'm going to save this for you guys. So if you guys want to try this out on your own, if you guys want to try doing the exact same thing with me, for instance, feel free. But this is more or less exactly the system that I wanted to build. We ran into a couple stumbling blocks, but I think we figured it out. And yeah, I also hope that you guys appreciated seeing what some of these detours and dead ends look like, what some of my thought processes behind building N8N workflows look like, and so on and so forth. So just to make sure this works, we're just going to unpin, right? You don't want to be using pin data to actually run it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this whole thing, including getting actor information rather. Go to max items, go back here, and then I'm just going to delete all of this so that I can actually run a new. And then once this is done, I will download said blueprint. Oh, let's just change this so it says update entries. I will download said blueprint and I will give it to all of you. So first step is we need to obviously run the actor synchronously. That's what's going on here. We are pulling Appify as we were before. It's now starting a crawler as we see. Last time it took us about 20 seconds or so to get the information, so it'll probably be taking somewhat similar. Post scraper finished, so looks like we got the data. It's now adding the entries to the sheet, so we just added 2. For each, we're downloading them. For each, we're also transcribing the video. We are now filtering and generating suggestions. Now we're going to do 2 API calls to Perplexity. Then we're going to do another 2 API calls to OpenAI, where we're going to rewrite the scripts. And then finally, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to update the entries in our database. If I go back here, you'll see that we've now added 2 new rows. We have both of the scraped transcripts, and we have the new transcript up the top. Check out this new AI text speech generator. It's just as good as Relevance, but it's free, blah, blah, blah. Then we also have this down here. Now make.com, it's saying make.com for me just because I said, hey, I used make.com. Make.com's awesome. So obviously when you feed in your own data source and your own specifications, because it's not going to just be an automation guy talking about automation stuff, it's going to be this new painting tool has enabled us to make amazing art or something, or this new video AI tool is what we're using as part of our editing workflow, right? We can combine all of that, funnel it into my AI automation agency channel, and then I'll have basically like nonstop content, which I'm pretty excited about. So hope you guys enjoyed and saw what the real build process behind systems like this look like. I'm not selling this particular system, although I want you guys to know that you totally could. As you see, it took me less than an hour and a half to set this up start to finish. I think I'm going to do like one cut in this video. It's going to be like 30 seconds while I figure out a prompt or something. So realistically, it legitimately, we put it together in under an hour and 20 minutes. This is something you could absolutely sell for a fair amount of money to any quickly growing channel. I don't know exactly how much, and I don't really know what sort of maintenance fee, but I would certainly have been willing, assuming that I'm not as technically competent as I am, to probably pay $3, $4, $5,000 just to have this problem solved for me. Never have to worry about it again. There might be some people out there that are willing to pay more, honestly. So wherever you are, using this for yourself, using this for a client, considering building it and productizing and selling it as a service, I hope that you have everything you need now to make it work. Please leave comments down below with suggestions for future videos. I source a lot of these ideas from you guys at this point, and I really like making N8N content that, curtails to your guys' interests. And if you could do me a big solid like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff that bumps up to the top of the algo, I'll catch you on the next video. See ya.